Welcome to this explainer, everyone. If you're a DIY off-grid builder, a solar enthusiast, or honestly, just someone relying on an expensive battery bank to keep the lights on, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're popping the hood on your power system to understand the invisible logic that actually protects your investment. We are exploring the journey of the charge.
Now, we really need to start by completely shattering a super common myth. Charging a battery is absolutely not just plugging it in or blasting it with raw voltage. No way. Unmanaged charging comes with some severe physical risks. We're talking volatile gassing, catastrophic overheating, and accelerated degradation that can literally destroy an expensive system in a matter of months. A battery just can't accept unlimited current, nor can it sit at some random voltage. And that is exactly why we rely on controlled algorithms.
Enter the master of that algorithm, the MPPT charge controller. I want you to stop thinking of this device as just a simple funnel for your solar energy. Actually, it's the active, highly intelligent processor brain of your entire off-grid operation. It reads real-time telemetry and dictates exactly how energy safely enters the battery based on its very specific chemistry.
So here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, visualizing the charge. Number 2, stage 1, bulk charging. Number 3, stage 2, careful absorption. Number 4, stage 3, float maintenance. Number 5, the chemistry divergence. And finally, number 6, the default settings trap. All right, let's jump right into section 1, visualizing the charge with the hydrokinetic analogy. Electrical flows are, well, invisible, so we're going to use a highly intuitive physical analogy to set the stage here. Think of charging your battery like filling a bucket with water. In the first stage, bulk, your bucket is completely empty, right? So you can pour as fast as possible. Then, in the second stage, absorption, you're getting near the top rim, so you have to slow down the pour to prevent a messy overflow. And finally, in the third stage, float, the bucket is completely full and you're just adding a tiny drip to replace any water that naturally evaporates. It's honestly the perfect way to visualize how your controller thinks. Moving on to section 2, stage 1, bulk charging, or the fast pour. So with our mental model locked in, let's look at the electrical reality. The objective here in stage 1 is incredibly straightforward: maximum current delivery. Your battery is depleted and the system's primary goal is pure speed. The MPPT controller is trying to shove raw energy back into your asset as fast as your solar panels and the battery's safety limits will safely permit.
Take a look at the graph on your screen. That blue line representing current is totally maxed out, delivering a massive energy transfer. But notice the orange line, representing voltage. It's continuously rising. If you're running a 24-volt system, for instance, you'd watch it climb from 25 to 26 to 27 volts. The controller is going to hold this maximum current state right up until that rising voltage hits a very specific pre-programmed threshold. Which brings us to section 3, stage 2, careful absorption, preventing overflow. The second that specific voltage threshold is reached, the system has to instantly pivot. The objective shifts completely from speed to precision. We are now delivering what's called a saturated finishing charge. Just like our water glass analogy, the battery simply cannot accept the final percentage of its capacity quickly. If you just kept pouring at max speed, the battery would electronically overflow, causing massive physical stress. Notice how the dynamic completely flips in the stage? The orange voltage line, which was rising during bulk, is now locked in tight at a constant target. Meanwhile, the blue current line slowly tapers down. See, as the battery gets fuller, its internal resistance naturally rises, so the controller organically backs off the current, maybe dropping from 40 amps down to 20, then 10, all the way down to a tiny trickle. But there is a huge catch here, perfectly captured by this absorption balance style. The timing of the stage is absolutely critical, especially if you're running lead-acid batteries. If your absorption stage is too short, you get incomplete charges and lethal sulfation buildup, which permanently kills your capacity. On the flip side, if you hold it in absorption too long, you cause excessive gassing, high heat, and accelerated aging, basically ensuring you'll be buying a new battery bank way sooner than your wallet wants to. The controller's whole job is hitting that narrow, optimal green zone. Next up, section 4, stage 3, float maintenance, the gentle drip. Okay, assuming the controller perfectly nailed that absorption balance, your battery is now 100% full. Now, the goal of float is active maintenance. We want to keep the battery at exactly 100% fullness, but we absolutely cannot subject it to the high voltages we use during absorption. Prolonged high voltage exposure will literally cook a battery. So this stage exists strictly to compensate for natural passive self-discharge. Check out the telemetry state here on the right. The controller actively drops the voltage down significantly. Say, for an AGM battery, it might drop from 14.4 volts down to a nice steady 13.5 volts. At this lower, much safer voltage, it supplies just a minimal trickle of current. It's that gentle drip that keeps the tank perfectly topped off without bursting the seams. Now for Section 5, the chemistry divergence. Lead acid versus LiFePO 4. All right, up until now, everything we've talked about basically forms the holy grail of traditional battery charging. But here is the major plot twist. Let's look at this side-by-side chemistry divergence. For lead-acid chemistries, like FLA, HEM, or gel, everything we just learned is 100% mandatory. They have to return to 100% regularly, and they rely heavily on that continuous float voltage to stop sulfation. But modern lithium iron phosphate, or LiPo4 batteries, they operate on completely different physical rules. They actually dislike classical float charging. Holding a lithium battery constantly at 100% actively accelerates its aging process. They are so much happier and incredibly healthy operating in partial states of charge. And this brilliantly illustrates another terrifying physical reality for lithium, the 0-degree limit. Unlike lead acid, you absolutely, under no circumstances, can charge a LiPo4 battery below freezing unless it has special internal heating. Doing that forces incorrect lithium deposition right inside the cell structure, causing instant, irreversible, permanent damage. A properly configured system just has to autonomously block cold charging entirely. Let's wrap it up with Section 6, the default settings trap and actionable solutions. Because these chemistries require such vastly different management, you really have to follow a mandatory commissioning protocol. You can never, ever simply plug your controller in and lazily trust the factory default settings. Think about it. If your MPPT defaults to AGM logic, but you have a lithium battery hooked up, that mismatch is going to lead to incomplete cycles, constant BMS shutdowns, and a severely reduced lifespan. You absolutely must read your exact datasheet, manually assign the correct chemistry type, define your absolute bulk, absorption, and float voltages, set your max current ceilings, and always verify your thermal limits. Which leaves us with this one vital question. Right now, today, is your controller running on dangerous default settings? I highly encourage you to pull out your system's manual right after this explainer. Double-check those parameters. Remember, your charge controller isn't just a simple solar collector. It's the active guardian of your entire power system. Make sure you've given it the right rulebook. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy building.